Well, folks, it seems our former president, the man who loves a good deal, especially when it involves his name in gold letters, has done it again. This time, he's not just making headlines, he's making waves, and not the good kind. We're talking about a tsunami of tariffs that has the potential to reshape global trade as we know it. Donald Trump, in his infinite economic wisdom, has unleashed a tidal wave of tariffs upon the world, a move he's affectionately dubbed Liberation Day. Yes, you heard that right, Liberation Day. It's almost as if he's declaring independence from the rest of the world's economy. On April 2nd, 2025, Trump dropped this economic bombshell, slapping tariffs on goods from numerous countries. This isn't just a minor tweak to trade policy, it's a full-blown overhaul. The ripple effects are already being felt across the globe. Our friends across the pond in the UK are now facing a 10% tariff, which means everything from British tea to luxury cars is going to cost a lot more. It's not just a pinch, it's a punch to the gut for British exporters. While those European Union fancy pants got hit with a whopping 20%, that's right, 20%. From French wine to German machinery, the cost of European goods is set to skyrocket. It's a move that has left European leaders scrambling for a response. Trump's logic, as far as we can tell, is that these tariffs will somehow magically make America rich again by taxing foreign countries. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. The idea is to make foreign goods so expensive that American consumers will turn to domestically produced alternatives. He seems to believe that this is a fantastic way to promote those made in the USA products that he's so fond of. The hope is that American factories will ramp up production, creating jobs and boosting the economy. It's a vision of a self-sufficient America, but is it realistic? Of course, economists around the world are busy clutching their chests and reaching for the smelling salts, predicting everything from inflation to trade wars. The consensus among experts is that this move could backfire spectacularly, leading to higher prices for consumers and strained international relations. But hey, what do they know? They probably just went to fancy universities with big words and stuff. Trump, on the other hand, trusts his gut, and his gut is telling him that tariffs are the way to go. It's a classic case of intuition versus expertise. This is classic Trump, folks. Big pronouncements, bold claims, and very little in the way of a coherent plan. Whether this tariff tsunami will lead to economic liberation or a financial shipwreck remains to be seen. One thing's for sure, the world is watching and the stakes have never been higher. So, what's the grand plan behind this tariff tsunami? Well, according to Trump, it's all part of his master plan to fix the broken global economic system. You see, those silly globalists with their fancy degrees and their reliance on things like data and evidence have apparently been doing it all wrong. Who knew? Trump, in his infinite wisdom, has decided that the best way to boost the American economy is to, wait for it, tax the hell out of everyone else. He's apparently decided that tariffs are not a negotiating tactic, like every other sane world leader seems to think, but rather a fantastic source of revenue. It's like he's trying to balance the budget by charging other countries rent for sharing the planet. Genius, right? Now, you might be thinking, well, John, surely there must be some downsides to this brilliant plan, right? And to that I say, oh honey, where do I even begin? The list is long and the consequences are far-reaching. First up, let's talk about inflation. It's not just a buzzword, it's a real issue that affects everyone. Remember that old chestnut? Well, it's about to make a roaring comeback thanks to Trump's little economic experiment. Inflation is like a fire that can quickly get out of control. See, when you slap tariffs on goods coming into the country, those costs get passed down to, you guessed it, the consumer. This means higher prices on everyday items. That means everything from your morning cup of coffee to that new car you've been eyeing is about to get a whole lot more expensive. Imagine waking up to find your favorite coffee has doubled in price, and don't even get me started on mortgage costs. Those are going up too. Higher interest rates mean higher monthly payments, making it harder for families to afford their homes. But hey, at least those made in the USA products will be flying off the shelves, right? Well, that's the hope, but reality often paints a different picture. Well, maybe not. Because when everything else is crazy expensive, who's going to be able to afford them? The average consumer is already stretched thin, and these tariffs only add to the burden. So while the idea of boosting domestic products sounds great, the execution leaves much to be desired. Now, you might be wondering, hasn't something like this ever been tried before? Well, history has a funny way of repeating itself. And economic policies are no exception. And the answer, my friend, is yes. We've seen similar economic gambles in the past, and they often come with a hefty price tag. But it didn't exactly go swimmingly. Remember the Great Depression? That catastrophic economic downturn that left millions unemployed and hungry? Yeah, that little economic blip in human history. It was a time of immense hardship and suffering for countless families. Well, back then, countries around the world decided to engage in a bit of a tariff war. They thought it would protect their economies, but it backfired spectacularly. And you know what happened? The global economy took a nosedive, and the situation went from bad to worse. It made the whole damn thing worse. Businesses shuttered, unemployment soared, and people lost hope. See, when countries start slapping tariffs on each other's goods, it creates this vicious cycle of retaliation. Each side tries to outdo the other, and it spirals out of control. And before you know it, you've got a full-blown trade war on your hands. The consequences are far-reaching and often devastating. But hey, maybe Trump knows something that those other guys didn't. Maybe he's got a secret strategy up his sleeve that will defy historical precedent. Maybe this time tariffs will magically solve all our economic woes. Perhaps this gamble will pay off in ways we can't yet foresee. Or maybe, just maybe, he's making the same mistakes that got us into this mess in the first place. Only time will tell if history is doomed to repeat itself. Section 5. Trade War 2.0. Can Trump bully his way to economic dominance? Now let's be clear. Trump seems to be itching for a good old-fashioned trade war. He seems to think that the US is like that kid in the schoolyard who can just bully everyone else into submission. But here's the thing. The global economy is not a schoolyard. And countries are not going to just roll over and let Trump walk all over them. In fact, they're already gearing up for a fight. The EU, for example, has already threatened retaliatory tariffs. And China? Well, let's just say they're not exactly known for backing down from a challenge. So yeah, Trump might think he can win a trade war, but the reality is that everyone loses in these situations. Section 6 allies? Who needs them? Trump's tariffs drive a wedge in global relations. Remember when America had, allies? Those countries that we used to work with and stuff? Yeah, about that. Trump's tariffs aren't just bad for the economy. They're also terrible for America's standing in the world. By slapping tariffs on our allies, Trump is essentially telling them that he doesn't give a damn about their interests. And unsurprisingly, they're not too happy about it. The UK is fuming. The EU is threatening retaliation. And even Canada, our friendly neighbour to the north, is giving us the side eye. It's almost like Trump is going out of his way to alienate everyone who's ever been on our side. Section 7. Economists sound the alarm. Is Trump's Liberation Day America's economic doomsday? So, what do the experts think about all of this? Well, let's just say they're not exactly breaking out the champagne. Economists from across the political spectrum are sounding the alarm, warning that Trump's tariffs are a recipe for disaster. They argue that these tariffs will lead to higher prices, slower economic growth, and job losses. They're also concerned that these tariffs could spark a global trade war, which would be bad news for everyone. But hey, what do they know? They're just experts who have spent their entire lives studying economics. What could they possibly know that Trump doesn't? Section 8. The ghost of tariffs past. Why Trump's economic playbook is doomed to fail. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Back to the halcyon days of Trump's first term. Remember when he tried this whole tariff thing before? Yeah, about that. It didn't exactly work out so well. In fact, it kind of backfired spectacularly. Those tariffs that Trump imposed on China, they didn't bring back manufacturing jobs to the US. They didn't make American companies more competitive. All they really did was raise prices for consumers and hurt American businesses. Section 9, Biden's blueprint, a stark contrast to Trump's economic chaos. Now let's compare and contrast Trump's approach with that of his successor, Joe Biden. Remember him? The guy who actually understands how the economy works. Instead of starting trade wars and slapping tariffs on everyone, Biden focused on investing in American infrastructure, clean energy, and manufacturing. He passed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act, all of which have led to a surge in private investment and job creation. Biden's approach is based on the idea that the best way to boost the American economy is to invest in American workers and American businesses. Crazy, right?